call my.
Today's Wednesday, February 12th, 2025, 5:30 PM. We'll call the Public Works Committee to committee meeting. Everybody in attendance is Donnie Kern, Chairman.
Caleb Garn.
Brent Crone.
Okay, let's stand salute the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda, January 8th, 2025, Public Work Minutes.
Move to accept the minutes as presented.
Brent Crone, second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. The next item is public comment on agenda items, 2 minutes per person, 14 minutes per topic. Anybody wishing to give any public comment on the agenda items?
Where I would talk.
Sure.
All right,
Well, he's on item 6C,
Okay,
and if we want to respect his time, I think he would appreciate that.
okay. I didn't know if you want to talk further, we can bring him up to the front. If there's no other buddy that wishes to speak on the agenda items.
Yeah, I can talk quick about
Okay.
the baseball agenda.
Sure.
So last time I was here a few months ago, Sean
Name-
Parnell.
name and-
Oh, sorry. Yeah, thanks. Brady Peterson, 30th Avenue, Somerset, Wisconsin, with the Somerset Youth Baseball Association. Last time I was here a handful of months ago, we were trying to work with Sean Parnell from the ISA. We have successfully, kind of talked back and forth many times over the last few months, and the association looked at their schedule, tried to give them everything that they need for this year as critical, which I emailed a few of you the dates. So it's a handful of, it's actually a 2-week window in end of July to August that they need for tryouts, and then a handful of days in October and September. We agreed, or, he was very accommodating that the association can have the field starting April 1st through mostly the end of July. And that if they need it based on rainouts or whatever their schedule is, they can reach out to us, and if we have availability on an ad hoc basis, we'll certainly give it to them. We want to try to work with them as collaboratively as possible. So just from a scheduling perspective for 2025, myself and Sean Parnell have a strong agreement that we can work together based on the recommendation of this board to figure it out ourselves.
So this is baseball and softball?
Yeah, baseball.
Okay,
and
so
softball, yeah.
we
And
don't have-
and I brought in Cassie Johnson.
I was gonna say, I didn't hear anything about that. So
Yep, no.
She's okay with it?
She's good too. Yep.
Okay, good, all right.
Thank you, good job.
I appreciate you
thanks
guys
for-
working together on that.
Absolutely.
Good communities all about, so, anybody else? Hearing none?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to move item 6C to the top of the agenda.
Second.
Motion made second to move 6C to the agenda. Any discussion? To the top of the agenda. Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, request for sewer credit 301 Sunrise Drive. In the packet, I believe there was some communication on that, I believe.
Yeah, and I gave a brief narrative for my updates.
This would be your opportunity.
Okay, well, I'm here to talk about, about my mom's estate. We were watching over her house and she died in 23. And then we got a notice from the city, that, our usage went from 10 to 70 to 60 to 78,160 gallons. We don't know how that would have happened, because there's no one living there since August of 23. The months where it was like 70 was when we were there working, cleaning out the house and getting it ready to sell. But we don't know how it would have jumped to 78,000, or where that water would have went. That's a lot of water. So,
There wasn't a pool in the basement.
no. Like our realtor said, 78,000 gallons, that would be going down the street.
Yeah,
So,
there was.
and we did pay the bill because we closed on the house yesterday. So we had to pay the sell. But we're just seeing if we could get, and we're okay with paying like the average or whatever we paid before, you know, but we're not looking for the full credit, but $1,200 bills. is kind of-
Did that happen? That was in,
You're looking at the wrong bill.
October,
It's just,
10/15 to 11/15, that bill.
it's not stapled, it's back to back. To be right, it's like the fourth thing in,
work one.
right there.
You expect that, what, is that?
That was back in November?
Yeah, well, it says from 10/15 to 11/15, the billing date of 11/25.
The bill's on the back of your sheet.
How would we've gotten that reading, Bob?
How, with the anomaly there,
Yeah,
typically we see that with outside water source that was left on accidentally, or a toilet with the flap wide open, or a water softener with a solenoid that failed to close. I don't think I don't think we have the capability of data logging this.
No, that was a 18.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we weren't able to go back in our history to see, well, this is something that happened and it occurred over 2 days, a month, or however long. So, Amy did contact the family. I think your brother ran over there to say, what the heck's going on?
Yeah, we both ran home from work.
And I know Brian was actively, our water department worker was, actively trying to figure out what happened there. We just monitored it and made sure that, from, we didn't jump from the month.
And then it went right back down again.
The next month was 0.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were done cleaning, well, and then winter hit, so we were cleaning and stuff. Well, no one was there.
isn't there a max amount that we?
There's a max that I can do of $200, but on a consideration past that, they would have to come to committee to seek additional relief.
And that's per the ordinance that we've changed, right?
Mhm.
And then we can only do the sewer portion, right?
Correct.
We can't do the water portion. So that would be 947.67.
That's the sewer portion of it. Right.
That's the only amount we can issue a one-time credit for that, right? I think for the ordinance,
Yeah,
would that mitigate the new owners towards that?
no,
Make a motion to approve the one-time credit, $947.67 under the sewer portion of it. Apologize for this inconvenience that caused on this.
Oh, sorry.
Motion made, seconded to approve the sewer portion, $947.67. That's per ordinance, and we have an
Yeah.
ordinance and have the right to do that one time. We just don't, I don't want to mitigate the new owners
Right.
to being, if there was some kind of a problem with that and they come back and all of a sudden they say, oh my God, we got another $78,000 bill, and they say, sorry, we already gave it away to the guy before you.
Yeah.
That's under discussion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. That's gotta go to the village board then. We made a recommendation to the
Okay.
village board.
I don't think it does. I think that rests with this
It's
committee.
Surratt. I thought it has to go to the board.
I could double check.
I think, yeah, do that, but I thought it goes, we made the recommendation, but the board unanimous consent, but
I'll check the ordinance on both of those things.
if it doesn't have to go to the board, fine.
Okay.
You know, but if it does, it's just a formality that we get it to the board then, okay?
Quick question, how does that credit happen? Would it be a check?
A check.
Okay, that's the only question I had.
Do we know where it's going?
I'll reach out to you.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming out,
right,
appreciate
thank
it,
you.
apologize for that, but yeah. Any, next item on, project, updates?
Yes, good evening. First on the list, the TID 5 lift station and utility extensions, going through the shop drawings. One of my wastewater engineers pointed out that the way the lift station is designed is at full build out, it's gonna require 3 pumps, right? And and what, initially, we're only gonna install two, because we don't need three until full build out. But, you know, we got thinking about it, and we wanna add the base elbow and some internal piping for that eventual third pump now, when everything's clean and there's not a lot of
And
stuff
open,
going
so you don't have to
to.
redig it again.
So it'll just be more economical, that sort of thing. We did, as of today, we thought it was gonna be in the 15, or I was told 15 to 20,000. We've got an RFI here from the contractor for $17,772. So it's right where we thought it would end up being. And so, it's not on the agenda, but if it's okay with the Public Works, I'd like to bring it directly to the board.
At what level will we need to go from 2 to 3 pumps?
Pretty much full build on both sides.
How
So,
long ago is that?
Yeah, how long
When it takes?
Could be 10 years, it could be,
but, you know, depending on how fast things move, you know, once,
it also depends on if we have a big user there.
yeah.
So if we have someone that produces a lot of excess waste.
What would it cost if we had to dig it out and do it later?
You know, that's the $64,000 question. You know, you may never need it, but chances are you will need it. And when you get to a point where you have that thing, you know, at max capacity, those two pumps, that's a lot of flow, right? And then, so you have to do some sort of, you know, you have to clean it out. You have to work in messy conditions. You gotta accommodate for those flows coming in. So your temporary bypass pumping, and it's gonna be a lot. I can't give you, you know,
It'll be at least
75,000
At
or
least.
something, or 100, right? I don't know, Bob, if you got any
3
thoughts.
times as expensive.
So it's a good you know, we strongly recommend that you make a $17,000, $18,000 investment here.
Bring it to the board for village board.
That's all right. Yeah, you know, if you have a
You-
consensus.
No objection on that?
Yeah, I'll make a vote on it at the full board.
Yep, no objection, you take it to the board.
All right, thank you for that. Well, and, you know,
TID 5 latitude development,
yeah, they're rolling, they're putting pipe in the ground, you know, we're out there watching to make sure that they're not putting frost.
that's all
Back in the
for,
trench.
that's all for the development and the, all the apartment.
Correct.
Complexes that are gonna be going up with it. Is there any work going on right now for when does the basin start for the storm drains and the ponds, store ponds? You got all approved for the
Yeah, this spring.
spring?
And then a little bit later on the agenda, we do have, you know, for the development agreement, you know, there's some, we have a task order here for $15,000 to kind of cover some, little bit of construction observation, or I mean, not observation, just some administration and some plan review.
Isn't that
stuff.
already been kind of discussed and agreed to though in the developers agreement?
Well, between you and not us and you, just.
I know, that's what I'm saying, that was all discussed between the developers and you. Now we're having you
No, it's,
have double observation or what? I don't
No.
understand.
One part's for the lift station, one part would be for the latitude 45
Yeah.
development.
Okay, so the
Cause there's
15,
public improvements that are going in that.
okay, so the 15 grand is for the lift station?
no, it's for some design review and some activities related to the Latitude 45 project.
How's that split up though? I thought developers paying all of that.
Yeah, that's 50,000 they are. Yeah,
The 15,000, so it's not,
no, we just don't have,
you need the approval for you to bill them. Is that what you're asking?
no, we build through you.
Right, but you need approval to bill through us, but we're getting reimbursed from the
Authorization.
developer, right?
Authorization for their bookkeeping and that, yeah.
So I understand that, we're not spending the money, we're basically we're taking the money from them and giving it to you.
Important clarification.
And then the construction observation for the public utilities within that development will fall within the TID 5 project. The lift station project.
Correct. But that's not part of that 15,000.
No,
That's strictly to the developer, right?
this 15,000 is.
One thing I did, see here is when is our, date of completion for all that stuff at TID 5 out there?
Well, you know, it, next fall, the short answer.
Next fall or this
Next fall or this fall?
I guess it would be this fall.
2025.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, we're still in the process of trying to find those casings that the DOT buried and didn't have a good actual plans on. And, you know, so, and there's lead time on equipment and stuff too that might, you know, cause we gave an August 31st deadline of this year. But some equipment delays might push that off a little bit. But do our best to get the,
Fall, you think September?
Yeah.
Okay. We shall see.
cause the lead time on equipment is just a nightmare. You know, it's just,
I bet you'll probably get better.
Pine Val first edition.
Are you waiting on your item?
I am.
I'm gonna get through this and I already circled it and I'm gonna bring it up to the next. I apologize
No,
for
no, you're
jumping on you. I
You're good.
should have moved that up.
It's all good.
My bad.
It's gonna be a formality that we just kick it to the board.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
It's, you're fine.
He enjoys it.
I'm thrilled right now.
Yeah.
so, again, we're reviewing street lighting of both Pine Vale and the first edition. I don't know if there's any questions regarding Pine Vale.
There was, we had talked a couple board meetings ago about, you know, a swale that might be able to be cut down to that storm sewer on that side, and you said you would
Yeah.
take a look at that?
We did look at it, Bob and I, and
Okay.
you just can't. The contours to get it to that, around that corner to that pond, it's just, you can't do it.
Okay, so,
You can't with,
so what's on
without-
paper is not feasible then?
what's on paper.
Yeah, I'd have to go back out and, you know, did you guys take any pictures of that or anything to saying it's where it's not feasible? Because what it's showing on paper is the contour just needs to be cut back into that, you know, straight down into that storm pond.
Do you have a report that says that you're not able to do that?
No, what do I just looked at it, and I looked at this, you know, the elevation of the
Because
storm.
we
pond,
walked
and
it and, you know, Ryan Seacard and myself walked it, went up to the ledge and said, I don't see why they couldn't cut that back. That's why.
We have contours and, you know, I looked at the contours and routed them back and it just, I came to the conclusion that it can't be done.
Can you give us a summary?
Yeah, we'd like to have something on that.
You know, just like a hand sketch deal.
Something in writing, because it's gonna come up.
It's
again.
gonna come back to us and we had it go to you to look at because we felt that it was the right place to be at. And if it comes back to us again, at least we.
Yeah, it's gonna come up at another joint meeting. Guarantee it. And then the other thing, in that same vein is, for the stormwater on that new part of it, let's make sure we got our, i's and t's dotted and crossed on all those plans, because they're coming under fire. As the additions are closing.
Yeah, again, that was all looked at by the engineer, calculations,
Yep,
and
I'm not-
reviewed by us, so,
I'm not
I
saying.
mean, if it's in the town. I don't know,
Basically a
it's
picture.
really the developer in the town issue, isn't it, I guess.
I agree, we don't own the land, so I don't know how,
I mean, if they think.
Well, that's
if they-
between them, and that's not really for that discussion, I'm saying, he's saying, as far as our storm sewers and everything coming down, we wanna make sure that we got everything in place for that, right?
yeah,
What goes on between the developer and the adjacent landowners between them, we can't say anything
Yeah.
about them.
just seem to double check everything. we don't Extra,
We're being scrutinized, and obviously, we wanna make sure that everything's being done right, that's all.
yeah, that's all. Not saying anyone, not assuming any blame or anything.
Oh, I got you, just wanna be clear and meet your expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah, just try and give you a read of the room. Up at the joint meetings. They're not on YouTube yet.
They don't care for me working for both you and them, so
Yeah,
I'm now just working for you.
yes.
Subdivision and this
Heard that, yeah.
developer completely correction, so you got a punch list? That you,
I did two a little bit later, I wanna talk further on the village park master plan, but I see that's on the agenda, so we can wait till then.
Subdivision, why's that?
Yep, I mean, we've got to walk through.
How long is that punch list?
It's good.
Huh?
I think they're done. I just got the
It's done?
final,
Complete?
the final bill from Albrightson for restoration work. That was the last outstanding item. I'd have to go back and review that punch list. There was one hydrant that needed to be repaired. So,
How's the signs coming along?
all the posts are in,
I know the posts are in,
but I don't know if the signs are
signs were back ordered
Yeah.
3 months ago.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm just, could
in.
we,
I'll check.
yeah.
If they've got in, they were
There's
not.
2 posts, that's all there is. I don't know what's gonna go on them, if it's speed limit signs or what.
One's a dead end and one's a speed.
Are we doing anything at the end of that division as far as like, you know, do we do anything there? Is it gonna be turned over to us once we get that punch list? That we are gonna assume it then at that point in time, or?
Yeah,
we-
we'll accept the improvements after getting them to certify everything.
So then do we go to a certain point? Is that where we accept it and say, okay, at this lot line,
Mhm.
then would we put something in the
Everything on the
ground
initial
saying,
phase, we would accept.
Pardon?
That's everything on the initial phase,
yep,
which this is, we would
Okay.
accept.
I know everybody likes the rocks and everything, I got a lot of, you know, so, but my question was, is that once we accept it, what stops anything, you know, are we gonna say at the end, this is how far we accept to, everything else? You know, so are we gonna like put some kind of barriers or something in until that they move forward, or we're just gonna leave that open so anybody can just drive off into the,
I mean, we can put some type of
just to, you know,
Like 3 barricade or something like that?
we gotta have something to kind of.
advance warning that say, hey, this road's not going anymore.
Because I don't know that we'd be liable if somebody drives off the road or not, but
Well,
it
then-
probably makes sense to say,
Probably.
hey, we don't go any farther here. When would you guys be looking to accept that then?
Not until spring,
Okay,
until the
Yeah.
frost is out. They'll show us the damage. And then we go under a 1-year warranty period.
will we have to put the barriers up, or will that be something that they would put up?
We would, I don't believe it's addressed in the developers agreement. I'd have to look.
We'd have to look, if they were on the plans, then yes, they would be able to go through.
Any other questions on, I'm not gonna pick on the stuff that's next year or later this year, River Hills and other than the master plan, we'll be talking about that.
I'm good. Good.
Thanks, Chuck, for putting this together and answering our questions,
Oh, absolutely.
getting back to us with this requested stuff.
Mhm.
Make a motion to bring 5B, actually, you know what? Outdated ordinances is being tabled, right?
Yes, sir.
So, if 5A is being tabled, the next item up is, 5B, ball field use. In your packet, we got an email that was sent out. Looks to me like, everything is in order for an agreement that was put together for this year and this year only. Appreciate you guys working hard at getting that taken care of, and I hope that we can work together on it going forward. What's the pleasure of this committee?
Does it need to go to the full board?
I wouldn't think so.
You don't think it needs to, just recommend it, then recommend approval at this one so that we have direction going forward then?
There's no action, actually.
Well, you wanna kind of agree with, that they're agreeing to take care of business, right?
Yeah,
And then we'll let Neil know, does Neil gotta put this on the calendar?
Right.
I know one of the days is, in August, is National Night Out.
Which one's that? I think
August, yeah.
the first, is that the
So
first?
depending on, I mean, they should check with the police department.
Well, actually, Neil's already got National Night Out at Larry Forest, so that would conflict if that's what I'm trying to.
Yep, so that,
I can message Sean and just let him know that that probably is gonna be a conflict for him.
so it's the first
Yep.
Tuesday in
So then
August.
he would have to probably look at is taking
Yeah, and just to be clear, he only needed 4 or 5 days out of that span. He just didn't know what. And so I just said, we'll just give you the whole 2 weeks and then you can figure out whatever you need to do. And if we have stuff we still want to do after that. that's
So
fine, but-
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement as you guys provided, with the exception that it doesn't conflict with National Night Out.
Second.
Motion made, seconded to approve the agreement as presented, provided it doesn't conflict with National Night Out at Larry Forest. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Thanks again for taking
Thank
care
you
of
very
this. I
much.
appreciate
Really
it.
appreciate it.
All your hard work.
Good night, guys.
Have a good night. Next item on here is timeline for meetings of public on village park improvements. We established February,
26.
yeah, and then there was another one though that we were talking about, and I don't know if we got that date hammered out, or do we hammer it out in next month?
Let's pause there. How are we, what's the mode of notifying people that this meeting is going to happen?
I think the other thing was, too, we were talking about it at the library. Did you get a
Library,
chance to talk to
RCU, I
anybody?
sent the form in, I'm following up right now as we're sitting here, and I got a new phone unlocked out of my email, so. I will follow up tomorrow,
So-
first thing.
That being said, if we don't have any issue with it, great, we'll have it at the library. If do we have a fallback potential? If the library is booked?
They
which I don't-
can't be here because there's court.
Right,
So they have 2 rooms there, the one room's pretty big, the other one's in one for like the champions. I don't know how many people you really think we're gonna,
well, my question was, what about the school?
I could- I
Auditorium
could
or something like that?
I could.
Do some at St. Anne's or something?
Huh?
Smells in there.
Smells like Catholics in there. Well, you got a better temp on the school than, there ain't no room to do anything up there really, is there?
You know,
The
the
school.
library is gonna be the best spot. That school is pretty busy, and St. Anne's equally is just.
I'll get I'll,
Grace Lutheran's got a wide open spot too, if you needed it. for
I
a
will,
second.
I
mean,
will follow up tomorrow.
I know a bunch of Lutherans over there, but, you know,
Yeah,
better than Catholic.
I'm good, yeah, I'm good with Lutheran, yeah. I will follow up on it tomorrow, first thing, stay.
So what's the room like? I guess I was just kind of curious what we,
Well, that's the benefit of having it at the RCU room, is they have all the, we did the.
is it like this room big? There's court.
Yeah, it's probably the same size as
It's
this.
the
About
same
this size.
size as this room.
Yeah, it's about this size.
But it has a, you know, pulled off projector. And stuff if you want to do a PowerPoint, which it's gonna be hard for St. Anne's to accommodate. And
Okay.
People are gonna be looking at all kinds of stuff. They're not-
Screens and
Yeah,
stuff.
It's,
So that was the other thing, you know, I'll be out of town, but I have Claire, our planner that you've seen a few times here. She's one of the common, then Dan Williams is a landscape architect who put it together. His counterpart, Eleanor, is in St. Paul, and, you know, I was gonna send her and Claire to this. And they do a great job presenting, and then they can take that feedback, you know, or direction once that happens, you know, they should understand what's going on here. But, you know, they don't have the background knowledge of the tubing and the importance of the ball fields and, you know, and some of those things. So, you know, I guess who's gonna MC this?
I'll
And kind of
volunteer.
feed those, you know, field those questions?
I'll volunteer to MC and I think the impetus of this is to reboot the whole conversation.
Mhm.
And the way I would like to present it is, this was a plan created by MSA 5 years ago, however long.
2018.
2018.
7 years.
So this is an idea. And then, have your folks present whatever they would like to about that idea. And then kind of go to a whiteboard session after that with whoever's there, saying, what would you like to see? What would you not like to see? Giving everybody an opportunity to just throw out ideas and be heard and sort of reboot the, what I hope becomes
Kind of where we are at, and where we wanna go, right?
a newfound interest for this whole conversation.
I think the other important part about it too is to emphasize the fact that we did meet as a board to discuss it, and part of that was having these community meetings. And it is part of our core plan to address these issues and hopefully come up with some kind of a decision on where we're going. We stuck significant amount of money into, you know, cleaning up the, you know, the trees and the brush and opening that all up, and that's still an ongoing process. I'm assuming that's gonna happen in the spring, or, you know, to open up a lot of that, and what's the next steps gonna be then from there?
So when the plan was finalized, Dan came up here and he gave a presentation. And if it pleases this commission, I could show it to you quick and just, and see if you want that presented, you know, in like a 10-15 minute deal. 5-minute deal.
5 works.
So, I don't know, can you, permit me to share?
And I guess
There's nothing on the schedule, I'm submitted, so we should be good to go.
okay, good for the RCU room.
Yep, I just got her.
Because what the presentation does is it kind of sets the background, you know, kind of.
I think you got a go to settings. Put on there,
The 3 dots, maybe?
do more.
Well, that's where, yes.
Or under the share button, is there like a drop down menu or anything?
Just
Well,
advanced or multiple?
Multiple, try that one. There we go.
Okay.
this work.
So one quick point of order, we'll have to send public notice that will be a quorum, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it'll be an official public works meeting.
So. Just so what we got going here is, you know, this slide, the first slide just shows, okay. What's there now, right? You got the ball fields, you know, this, that, and the other upper area. So it kind of reminds everybody what's down there, because a lot of people from based on those earlier meetings, never even been down there. You know, so this just kind of helps set the table.
Yeah,
And then it talks about that first public engagement, what people was important to them. And that may have changed, right? But at least at that snapshot in 2018, that's what they saw.
what's an interpretive trail?
Well, there's was signage and things and
So some historical markers
Hmm.
saying that, you know,
No,
there's a lot of history going there that would be good for, you know, summer school kids to walk, and at every 10th mile, there would be a dedicated placard that would say, you know, this is the sawmill, or this is the original site of the St. Anne's School because it was moved across the highway.
some Frenchman fell in the water here.
This is, this building was the nunnery, or
Got it.
Okay,
you know, and then it talks about some concepts that were laid out. We could omit this one potentially. But then from there, this is kind of the master plan and can walk through what the various features that are all, you know, through here. I'll just briefly go through, we can go back to.
The biggest hurdle I see is gonna be ball field use. We're already, when they came down here, ball field folks, he was already here tonight, you already have that's a limiting factor, bottleneck.
I think that just has to be a part of the conversation that we share and explain to everybody that shows up. We don't have enough ball fields, so by getting rid of these 2, we have to find a new home, and there's costs associated and all that. So
great.
we just lay it all out.
Yeah, it seems like they'd be a good spot for them up by the school, you think?
Well, we can have that conversation later, you know, I mean, we're talking about Village Park, and that's, once, as long as we have the dialogue saying, listen, if we take a park, a ball field, we need to put one, maybe maybe two back, you know, because of the dire need of the ball field. So, you know, so people understand that that's the case. There's gonna be some questions about what are we gonna do for pea soup days, right? Are there gonna be a spot here for pea soup day? You know, there's been, in the last meeting we had before us, there was some discussion about potential development along the riverside there too, you know, and that is a very good plausible possibility if, you know, if it works out right. I don't know, you know, I can't say, but you know, everything is on the table, I guess, at this point.
For us, it's gonna be a listening session, gathering feedback and getting us to the next meeting, which will be in the park after the weather breaks. So Chuck, from my point of view, your folks should do a 10-12 minute presentation, kind of similar to what you've laid out with here's the history, here's what happened, here's where we are, here's some ideas of what could be.
So I can maybe put this on a little bit of a diet, but more or less present this. What I was gonna do, these costs are 7, 8 years old,
Get rid of them.
Wipe that slide out.
Yeah.
because,
Well,
what,
we haven't agreed to any of it, you know, that's why I said it's a listening session. I don't wanna be telling them what to do.
no, I know, but
wanna
I
hear
just, the information's there. This is a snapshot in time, and that's why I'm asking, you know, because the cost in this presentation, they're gonna be 50% higher
Actually,
or more.
leave the slide in. I want that in, because I wanna be able to say to the folks, 7 years ago when we visited this idea, this was the price tag. We know today that it's at least 3 times this, because we waited.
Well, 50% at least, 50% higher,
Yeah,
because that's usually 5% inflation.
right, we didn't.
Yeah, no, that's a good point to highlight.
13%.
Yeah, waiting costed us money, cost us a lot of money.
Right, I want that to be a part of people's thought process as we work through this, so that there's an understanding that time costs.
You wanna sell them on it, Chuck, send your sales guy.
You guys don't have to do anything but present what was and where.
Here's what was
could
put
be.
together at that time and what was approved by that council, and
Yeah,
we wanna revisit it, and
I don't want your guys being caught in any confrontational dialogue or anything, and if that starts, I'll stop it right away and say, whoa, that's not what we're here to do.
yeah, this isn't a plan we're pushing.
Right, this
This is just what was
is the
compiled.
plan that happened, and here's the history of it. Here's some ideas as a launch pad to reignite this conversation.
And what both of these women are good at is, you know, public engagement, facilitation. So they can help you with that whole whiteboarding and we can bring some of those big tablets and such things, and I'll let them I'll let them know that you want their help in doing that, because
Yep.
that's what they do,
It'd be fantastic.
above the engineer's pay grade, so.
Okay, so we're on for February 26th, 6 P.M. at the library,
6 to 7.
6 to 7.
But you gotta get the word out, right?
Well, that was my next thing, was we talked about, okay, where are we gonna have it? Now we know what the dialogue's gonna be. We got about a 10-minute presentation, and then, you know, idea bouncing back and forth, for the rest of the time until the end of the meeting. And hopefully we'll have something to come back on, and then we can discuss, alternative dates in March.
I think we should go into April, just
Before the next,
guarantee the weather is broke and.
I'm talk about the date of meeting, because by March, we'll know what April's gonna look like weather-wise,
Right.
you know? And whether, you know, we don't know, we're gonna get another foot of snow and have floods in April,
Yeah,
you know,
and we
so
may decide we need 3 or 4 more meetings with the public,
maybe,
so.
yeah. So a secondary meeting, so that would be just initial listening session and presentation of where we were, what it was, and where we'd like to go from here. And then have additional meetings in the March on the agenda for unfinished business in March. Make sense?
Yep, and as far as getting the word out, we should do every public Facebook there is, we should do obviously the village website.
Can you create an event? Can you create an event on Facebook too?
Sure.
Tasia's a Facebook person.
So you got a website.
Do we wanna
Facebook?
broadcast it? Bob's having flashbacks over there at nightmares. Do we wanna broadcast it?
No,
Will it be a Zoom meeting? Why not?
What?
Do we have capability of Zoom? People can listen if they're not.
we struggle with it really badly for all champions meetings and
Oh,
chamber meetings
Yeah.
because of what I perceive to be the problem is the library's internet.
Well, I suppose there's probably a bunch of people on it, it's free.
I think that's it.
We very rarely are successful
Okay.
with that technology at the library.
Have to do it the old fashioned way. Face to face.
Okay. Anything else to come? For discussion on that? So do we need to make a motion to recommend that websites be posted on a website, Facebook, and now that we got to confirm that it's gonna be at the library? Or is this a direction that we're just going to delegate it?
I think it can just be,
Do you want an agenda?
I'll create one and share it with you guys and we can,
Well, if it's a public meeting, we should have an agenda posted.
oh, right.
I can
think it-
just post a notice of possible quorum.
That's all you want?
It doesn't have to be
Yeah, yeah.
Like-
Okay.
Official meeting.
an official
That's fine.
agenda.
That works.
right?
Yeah, that's fine by me.
And I'll
You might want to share it with Chuck so we can get it to the, Claire and
Eleanor,
Eleanor.
and I'll have them show up at 5:30, then you can kind of maybe talk through and just make sure you're all on the same page.
In that same vein, is there gonna be any more work on that this winter with shrubbing out any of those, that underbrush, or is that something that they're gonna wait until spring to get in and clear that? Cause we kind of authorized that,
They did a lot of it. Got a lot done. So they.
quite a bit more up on that back, on the, would it be a south side too? Up that hill
So excited.
by where the old, volleyball courts and stuff were going up that hill on that side. That's all grubbed out already?
No.
Oh. Are they gonna be doing that?
This winter?
No, at all.
Yeah, I think that's what the plan was.
Okay. Did they know who's gonna be doing that or anything like that, or, are you gonna have guys come in and just, with the machinery to do it in the spring, or?
Yeah, Mark's one of our new hire has been, he did the bulk of it.
On, yeah, on that one side, I see, I went down there and looked, it's cut back quite a bit over there, but up on the other side, is that what he's gonna be doing that too?
Yeah, then we'll call it whatever we have budgeted for and
The goat.
Okay, next item up for business on here is, the participation Wisconsin School Forest Program.
So, new development, I got mail on this.
I gave it to you.
Yeah, and I got a survey I gotta fill out, so I'm gonna fill it out for the forest, so it's the only update I have on that.
Okay,
I'm gonna keep at her.
you want this to stay on the agenda, or is it something that you want to bring
I
up
think
when you have
once,
more
I
information?
think
on it?
once they wanna, once I have the form, there's a form you gotta fill out for an official resolution and all that, I think I'll just, now that I know everyone's on the same page and we wanna move forward with it, once I have the form that fills out the resolution and all that, I'll bring it forward again.
So you want me to, are you comfortable with tabling it until you bring it forward then?
Yeah,
Okay, so this will take off of the agenda until it gets resurrected,
Yeah.
via request.
I've moved the table for the second, second, move the table. Did you make the motion, Donnie?
Yeah.
I second.
Motion made and seconded to table indefinitely until requested to reinstate on the table.
I triple.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Table indefinitely, okay. Next item, on the agenda is septic pumping expense reimbursement, request 733 Spring Street.
That one's stapled. That one was stapled with an actual staple.
With the actual staple or?
Yep.
That's the easy way to get them out. Is this a request in writing?
Or verbal,
Where's Spring?
strictly south of the wastewater plant.
How did you put it in your packet?
I was looking for the invoice.
Oh,
Where was the other one, guys? Where was the other guys at? The other guy was just, what was his
That was
name?
on Sunrise.
That was on Sunday.
yeah.
What was the,
What are we talking about here? Cause I'm looking at just a bunch of numbers here.
Yeah, that's just, kind of for a visualization, I guess, to help this. So it's a rental property, investment property, whatever you wanna call it, and their system has been hooked to the wastewater plant since that went in the early eighties, and it's always been pumped. So it's been a force main to our plant for, we're not quite sure why. It looks like the elevation's there, but it apparently is not.
So the tank's pumped into the main line?
Yeah, so we only, now apparently he only has the effluent, so the liquid is able to be pumped, but the solids are not. So that's telling us that it's probably an inferior pump because it's not taking the solids, so it's not like a grinder type pump application. It's just, like I say, taking the liquid and then he said, well, I have to pump that.
Is he paying a septic charge, septic fee? On for his water bill for septic?
Sewer, yes.
Okay, so he's paying sewer,
Mhm.
okay. And the solids are in a holding tank. The liquids are are pumped into the main. And so he's asking for the city to pay for the pumping of the solids.
Right, because he is, has a contractor come and pump, just like somebody in the
How often does
country.
that have to happen?
2 to 3 years, 3.
Because I know mine in the country, you got every 2 years, it's gotta be inspected, right?
3.
Okay,
3.
so we gotta do this every 3 years then?
Well, that's the question. I mean,
Who's been doing it before?
well, this just came to us, and that system was modified. We don't know, how it was modified. We weren't informed it was being modified, but there was being work because we drive by there every day. It's like, oh, exactly what they're doing. And then, I don't know, are they replacing a pump or are they, we had no idea then,
What's the cost of,
like $225 or $250.
and these are
Pump it out. Or clean it out.
220, you said what? 220?
220, 250, I think.
But
Because I don't see a bill, that's why I was.
you're asserting he should fix his pump.
Well,
Is that your
If-
position? I shouldn't say
if-
asserting, but is that your position?
if a property owner approached us and said, hey, I have to do some modifications to my pump system, we would have told them, you need to put a grinder in, otherwise you're gonna have to pump that solids out, because
We can't just pump gray water up.
just a typical basement, sump pump is, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
But it's.
Why wasn't he hooked up to begin with? Because he was grandfathered or what? To take solids and everything?
I don't, I think obviously, I think it did before, I'm not sure. If this is the, for that, I mean, that house has been there, it's the old farmhouse, and so. Prior to me coming on, I mean.
Well, why would he be paying set sewer rate? If we're not taking everything, out of that
Cause we are treating his,
gray water,
his waste.
just not the solids.
Not the percentage that we charge for, is that what they're asserting more or less?
No, he just wants to be reimbursed for calling whoever.
Well,
possible.
that it shouldn't be on him to be calling that if really, I mean, if it gets full, then it would be us. I mean, he could call him 16 times in a year if he wanted to. If, to pump it every time, and we'd be on the hook for that. Would we be creating a precedent by approving this?
I think so.
Cause I'd like to table it until we get a little more information. I don't have enough here to make the call on it, but
Something stinks.
What is your recommendation, Bob?
Well, we didn't really have any involvement with it, so that's kind of where, if he would have approached us and said, I'm gonna make some changes here, and I'm just wanna put something that pulls the liquid and not the solids.
right, but until he provides us with that kind of information, how could we even act on this? I mean, this is a kind of a verbal request. If he wants to show us, hey, this is what I did in order to prevent this or whatever, and I need this pump now, and this is gonna happen going forward, then yeah, I could kind of see where, you'd be leaning like, yeah, okay, we'll do this one time because we won't have to deal with it again. But we don't know that.
Yeah, is he not willing to fix it? Then is that, cause if he was, yeah, like you said, if he was willing to come to the table and say, hey, I'll fix the pump. But if you could get me this one time, I'd be more open to that, but yeah, if he's never gonna fix it, I don't know why we would sign up for something.
I'd like to table it until we get a little more information. I mean, I think,
That would be-
if he doesn't provide any more information, then we don't have to add, but I'd like to know if this is gonna be an ongoing thing, if this is a one and done thing.
No, it would be every 3-year
Mm.
event.
I
So,
second the table.
I'd like to know what the cost is to just get him hooked up like normal.
I don't think we can require that, can we? Would he be grandfathered?
Probably cheaper to get the pump.
Probation wise, probably can't.
Well,
Or is that what you're thinking?
there's a little, there's a big swamp. You've been by the plant.
Yeah.
There's a big,
Well, yeah, I don't know what we're talking about here, but, I just know it's,
it's the property directly across from south of the treatment plant. So
oh,
directly, so going towards your old house, towards the concert, he sits in the north of the concert.
oh, okay, yeah. He's on the west side of I.
Mhm.
Yes. So there's a few encumbrances to get him to gravity into the plant, so that's the thought.
But
We
he's-
don't have any records,
But
we
he's
don't have
paying,
anything.
but he's getting a portion of it because it's being pumped up and into the.
Right.
But,
But a regular grinder station, like the school has a grinder because there was a conflict with a great big storm sewer pipe. And it was, well, let's just put a grinder in. Well, that takes everything.
but who put that in?
The school,
The school put that in.
How much is the proper pump for the grinder?
Well, motion on the floor motion on the floor to table, and it was properly seconded. Any further discussion on that? I mean, you're welcome to discuss it under the motion, but the motion is to table for further information. If you want to get any more, have any more discussion on it, you're welcome to. I just want to make sure we're talking under the motion.
Yep.
Okay, so, motion to get a more, second or table until we get additional information on the matter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, move to table for further information. Next item, Public Works Department report.
Did we skip over?
We did, you know what, I got a task order in here, I apologize. Latitude 45 Development Task Order, right in front of me too.
I'm just shutting down everything, so bear with me a second. Well, we touched upon it, earlier in the meeting, it's for $15,000. You know, it's for, project administration, pre-construction meeting, it's middle review. Additional services include, any surveying, utility modeling, construction observation, or additional meetings.
This goes in, this is going per the developer's agreement, all right?
Yep.
So this will actually be.
This will be
there's
passed
nothing-
through costs.
Yeah, there's nothing that conflicts with us approving this, that it's over and above what was approved for, in the developer's agreement. I just want to verify that.
And then we'll have a modification to the TID 5 thing for the utility instance. That'll come forward next month.
It's a pleasure. of
Okay,
this
we're
committee.
gonna make a motion to move the Latitude 45 Development Task Order number 1 to the village board for consideration.
Ranger on second.
Motion made, seconded, what he said. All in favor, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Sorry for skipping on that one, Chuck. Now, Public Works Department report. Any ideas where we're gonna, where we might be able to find another spot for, putting that fence up in the, that's was donated to us last year for a dog park? We were gonna put it up at TID 5, and now that got spanked, so.
So you hose that one on us, Chuck.
That wasn't Chuck's fault.
Oh,
That was the stormwater team fault.
you hose that one on a stormwater team.
Always that dang stormwater. I will say that, if we wanna save some of it, we'll take, I think we want like, if we could get like a 12 by 12 by 12 chunk up at the food shelf. We want it for outside the shed. School building is a shed, so we want it
What do you want, to protect the shed or?
to protect the garbage cans that are on the outside. I don't know, that's what my people, that's what the people ask for. I'm on the operations side. I said we had some fence laying around, maybe we could use it. So it seemed an opportune time to bring it up.
School got any extra land for dog park?
They need to build baseball fields, Chuck.
Interim.
They can put in a dog park at the same time.
I think we
I'd
should
like
put
you to
it.
come up with a couple other recommendations if you can for us, see if we can't, have to put that down on an agenda item for future, but I think it's worthy of us having, that put back on the table now that we have to refigure where that's gonna go. Anything else on the, you said nothing, no additional future park improvements this year
No.
for,
Well,
Grant?
grant
for grant
wise.
wise?
We're back to square one on the switchback idea and getting down that side to the river.
What's that? For the trail?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a headache. No, so board meeting, just for your awareness, there's going to be a proposal for, we need to acquire additional right of way. Typically, we wouldn't have to do that because we could, you know, we can shorten the trail up. We can do all kinds of things. If it's locally led, we've got to follow all the parameters of federal government. That means that trail can't be less than 10 feet. And if it's gonna be less than 10 feet, there's only a certain amount. There's a certain setback away from the road depending on the speed limit. So we're running into areas where we need to buy additional real estate.
How is that gonna work if somebody says no?
We cannot condemn.
Right, so you're gonna have to go on the other side of the road if you got somebody shutting down, or you
Either go on the other side of the road, or you just don't do the trail and we put sidewalk in instead. My conversation would be then, back to our assessments is, if, you know, you're really gonna be hard on that, then, you know, there's probably gonna be a sidewalk. There's already been a conversation with one of the property owners. They said, you know, the trail connection it'll just go on the right of way then. You know, be in the form of a sidewalk, and there's a potential that you're gonna have to take care of it, and you could be assessed for it, so. Right now, we don't have a huge practice in assessing, but it might be something the board considers. So there's some thought there, but. And
So we'd have to go with sidewalks instead of trails in order to hook up, Whispering Pines into the trail
the
system, right?
biggest problem we're having is 190th.
Really?
That's a tough road. Is that,
And it's a dangerous road, and I just said, you know, it's not a good. You know, a little aggravating because the person was like, I didn't know anything about this, I'm like, well, certified letter was sent to you. And I never got it, and I said, well, I'm looking at your letter right now with your signature on it, so you got it. I have the receipt.
So 35 is clear, I mean, pretty much to go up in the right of way?
We have one that is really requesting some privacy fencing that would have to be on the village's bill.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, and I said, I'm sure the village would understand, and she's pretty close to the
I understand where you're
highway
talking,
now, yeah.
yep, you're talking about the farmhouse just up there before that pillar, yep.
And then, the other one on 190th, I think she would be okay if we provided some privacy.
So slight negotiations and we can get the deal put together.
Yeah.
But the issue is setbacks now?
Well, yeah,
Does
so
AE
we
apply
run,
for federal government?
we run out of, we run out of right of way. And so in order to get compliance with setback off of the road,
We gotta buy more.
we have to move back into people's yards further. And that then gets us out of the right of way. We have to buy some, it's not a lot, you know, it's a foot, you know, stretch of the 100.
What if they don't sell?
If they don't sell,
Then
we
we
cannot
can't do it.
condemn, right?
And at the end, you have to follow the federal process, which is another whole can of worms.
And
did you
I,
get the stuff from the boys for the fire hall? I imagine that's gonna be a fight. It's going right in front of the fire hall, ain't it? The trail?
yeah, I think the.
Yeah,
town's okay with
Yeah, I
that,
think the town's okay with that,
But
cause it's gonna be in the right of way there, but.
Yeah,
I think there's, I don't know if there's fee on that or not. I'll have to look you in though.
So that's gonna come to the board?
Yeah, that'll come from right away professionals. We also cannot negotiate with property owners.
Right.
But it has to come from a third party.
Right, that's who we contracted to do that, right?
Yes, and I really can't have a whole lot of conversation, like I can't call up resident,
Mhm.
you know, Jones and say, hey, you know, and threaten or coerce them to do it.
Sure.
They can call me, I don't necessarily can't call them. It's like Chuck said, that the federal guidelines, I mean, this thing would have been built already if it was a local let, but we got almost $1 million for it, so.
cost of doing business.
Love me some government.
All a chair.
Anything else on the reports? Anybody else have anything on the reports?
Got nothing.
Snow, streets are holding up unless we get cold weather.
Yeah,
We're
nice
looking at some
work.
Possible.
On the snow event, you guys did good.
This cold weather is gonna us a little concerned, so.
Yeah,
But I think it's gonna.
we made it through last year, but I will get some a little more snow on it. top
Yeah,
of
so
that.
we are leaving cover on the sidewalks a bit, so you noticed maybe downtown wasn't cleaned off, I said just hold on, cause that starts coming up. And if we can protect ourselves as much as we can, let's do it.
Right, would you clean it off later then?
Yeah, I
After-
get some more
after the
attempts, I
stuff,
mean, we like it looking good, and we
Sure.
don't like people jumping over snow, but we also don't like ripping up the street to fix things when it's.
Maybe
froze.
just a simple little notice that it might look like crap for a little days, but we're doing this for a reason. We're to keep water
I haven't
pipes from
received any
breaking.
phone calls, but just for your awareness, that was not a lack of ambition, it's just.
I haven't heard anybody complaining. As a matter of fact, I've heard nothing but good things about it.
I'll start sending them the list.
I haven't heard anything at work.
Okay.
No
that's
one
good.
said anything.
Yep, I've
Nobody
heard
talks to you
nothing
at
but
work-
things.
Nobody talks to you at work, or?
Yeah.
Well, the
They're
26th
not allowed to.
of Wednesday, the 26th is showing 39 degrees, so.
Here's your agenda item. Oh, I'm sorry. Nothing else for Public Works Department report, Public Works, water sewer bills.
Caleb Garn make a motion to adopt the water sewer bills as presented.
Brandon Crown second.
Seconded to adopt the bills as presented. Just give me 1 second to run through it here. Because this is,
Nice, extra $1,900 on Spring Street. Or wherever it was.
made seconded to approve it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion is carried. Future agenda items. Chuck, can you work on giving us some proposals for a dog park with, or areas for a potential dog park? I could talk to you about a couple spots too. But I've been driving around looking for other areas that we might be able to look at.
So you
Is
just want,
is there a thought maybe too of, maybe entering into a possible lease agreement for a chunk of land so that, I think a lot of, I might be able to maybe come up with, some land if the village would be interested in leasing, the land so that the obligation of any kind of liability would go away from that landowner during the term of the lease. That's what a lot of, oh, I got dogs coming on my land, or somebody gonna get bit or whatever, you know what I mean? And they're scared about that. Is there some thought?
sounds like a legal question.
Where's that at?
Huh?
Where's that at?
Here in town.
So you just so I'm clear, you just like a couple of spots where,
We have
Just some
potential,
suggestions?
spots, I mean, that we're looking at. I know before Jim gave us some, but they were not even feasible, Some of them were, like you said,
Well,
by
some
the,
of them were feasible, but
pardon?
some were feasible, just heavily shot down by.
Well, yeah, but some of them weren't even feasible. It was straight slope right down, I mean, it's like picking up, the piece on the riverbank side, It's a straight slope, by the spot up by me even, I even looked at that spot and I said, you can't, it's all, 45-degree slopes, but I think.
If it wasn't it for those damn frisbee golfers, we'd have one already.
So what I'm looking for is to try to track down a couple of spots, proposals, that potential recommendations and sites for, 1 to 2 acre spots. If you want to make or talk about them other areas, I can give them to you, but also,
yeah, show me your ideas.
yeah. Any other future agenda items?
Just get the change order on the board, right? What? The change order for the session for the board meeting? Yeah.
Hearing nothing else? Final motions in order.
Caleb Garn make a motion to adjourn.
Brandon Crown second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, signify by say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. That motion, we are adjourned.
You sponsor that whole